Welcome back. In this video, we will talk about project schedule management. Project schedule management is the sixth chapter in PMBOK Guide 6, 6th edition. If you are preparing for PMP exam or CAPM, this video will be very helpful for you. In this video, I will cover whole knowledge area with all important concepts, inputs, tools and techniques, outputs, and all the processes in this knowledge area. In this knowledge area, we have 6 processes, 5 in planning area and 1 in monitoring and controlling. In planning area, we have plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity durations, develop schedule, and control schedule. This knowledge area gives us detail about product or project deliverables and timeline we are planning to complete a project. Also, this serves as a communication with stakeholders, manage their expectations, and also provides basis for performance measurement. We, as a project team, select a scheduling method that could be critical path method or agile approach. In this knowledge area, we have all the detail about activities, plan dates, durations, resources, dependencies, constraints. In tailoring consideration, a project manager is responsible to decide which life cycle we will use. Remember, life cycle is unique to each project. So, what resources availability, like what are the factors that can affect the duration of our project dimensions, like how complex this project is, technological support. Our first process is plan schedule management. Plan schedule management gives us all the detail about how we will manage, plan all the other processes in this knowledge area. Like we have define activity, sequence activity, so all those processes, what kind of policies and procedures we shall be following for those. All we prepare a plan, a document in plan schedule management process. So we use project charter as an input, project management plan, enterprises environmental factor, and organizational process assets. So tools and techniques are expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings. And we have only one output, that is schedule management plan. So schedule management plan gives us all the detail about how we will define activities, what sequence shall be there, what kind of process we will use, how we will report, what are our control threshold. So we will discuss about all these in a moment. We have project management plan as an output. Now what this project management plan does include? This includes project schedule, model development, release and iteration length, that is for agile projects, level of accuracy, units of measure, organizational procedural links, project schedule, model maintenance, control thresholds, rules of performance measurement. In project schedule model development, we actually specify what tools we shall be using for scheduling this project. Release and iteration length is like over one iteration, what time, how long it will be, what is time boxing, so how can we minimize scope creep. So all these things are detailed in schedule management plan. So level of accuracy, what is our level of accuracy? Level of accuracy mean our duration or our estimation, how accurate it shall be, like what is our acceptable accuracy level, and this also includes amount for contingencies, like how much buffer we are giving for activities. So what are the unit of measures, like we should plan our activities, like sometime it is in days, sometime it is in hours. So these all things we include in our schedule management plan. So whenever we need a reference, first we go to schedule management plan and we see how we have included all the details about the activities, their accuracy, reporting. So all these details we mention in schedule management plan. Control thresholds. Control threshold is actually at what amount of variance we shall require an action. Like if our project is 5 days late or an activity is 5 days late, we may require immediate action for that. So these all things we include in our schedule management plan. So that is called our control threshold. So rules of performance measurement are also covered in schedule management plan. Earned value management, rules of performance, schedule management plan, that could be rules, EVM techniques, like which formula we will use, what are the standard practices we will use for the performance. Reporting formats includes what is the frequency of our reporting, like to whom we should send our reports and on what frequency. So these all details we put in schedule management plan. So during the project, if we face anything related to schedule, first we will go to schedule management plan and we see like what kind of details are mentioned there about sequencing activities, about estimating durations, about reporting, about control threshold. So according to that, we take our act. Whenever we require any action during project execution related to schedule management, so we consult schedule management plan. Let's move to next topic, define activities. Before we begin define activities, let me give you one example about schedule management plan. Like as a project manager, you joined a company and they were preparing define activities, or they were in any other process in schedule management knowledge area, and you wanted to check the details, like what kind of thresholds we have, what is our unit of measure. So what you will do, you will directly go to schedule management plan and you will find there your relevant detail. So once we have schedule management plan ready, we will begin to next process, that is define activities. Now we will talk about define activities. In this process, we define all the activities, like we list down all the activities and link to work packages. So what do we need as an input? We need schedule management plan and scope baseline, enterprises environmental factor, and organizational process assets. In tool and techniques, we need expert judgment, decomposition, rolling wave planning, and meetings. So in explanation, we will talk about decomposition and rolling wave planning. As an output, we have activity list, activity attributes, and milestone list. Let me explain first inputs. Schedule management plan. Just now we created. We need that document to know more about details, like when we are defining activities or in any other process areas, we will use this document as an input. So scope baseline we need, where WBS, deliverables, constraints, and assumptions are mentioned, documented in the scope baseline, and we use this document as a reference to define our activities. Also, we need enterprise environmental factor and organizational process assets. In tools and techniques, expert judgment. Like we ask experts, individuals or groups to give their inputs. Decomposition. Like decompose and subdivide project scope into smaller, more manageable works. Like for example, we have a project and in that we have a WBS called MEP works. So when we will create activities, we will decompose that WBS into smaller activities like activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, and we will list down all those activities. And we do this process for the complete project. We decompose the whole project scope into smaller, more manageable works. Like why we do this? To manage project work in efficient manner. Like if there are small activities, it's easy to allocate resources. It's easy to check how long it will take to complete. So to do all those things in more efficient way, we need to break down our project scope work into smaller activities. So this technique is called decomposition. Rolling wave planning. Rolling wave planning is when we move forward in the project, we have more detail. Like when we start our project, we do high level planning. When we move into the phases of the project, we have more detail about the work, so we can easily break down that scope of work, that part of scope into more manageable works. So rolling wave planning is just a simple concept. When we move forward into the project, more detail is visible, or we have clear detail about the project work, so we can do decomposition easily. So this is the whole concept of rolling wave planning. This is a kind of progressive elaboration. So when we progress into the project, we have more detail and we can easily decompose our project scope of work. Meetings. We also do meetings face to face. We discuss with individuals. Finally, we got output activity list. So we will get a list of all the activities. Like in MEP, we have hundreds activities. Civil work, we have 100 activities. Other related areas, we have 100 activities. So all those activities are listed down. We can use an Excel or Primavera, MS Project, or any software is used. But first we have to document it in a proper way. So that is called activity list. Now activity attributes. There might be some activities that are confusing with the same name in more than one WBS. So what we do, we give activity ID. So ID is unique. So later on, if we need to know about the activity, we prefer using activity ID rather than activity name. Name could be same in more than one WBS, but activity ID should be unique. Activity attributes include activity identifier, WBS identifier, description about the activity, predecessor, successor, logical relationship, leads and lags, resources requirement, imposed dates, and assumptions. So all those details related to an activity are documented in a document called activity attributes. So this is a separate document. Milestone list. First, let me tell you what is a milestone. What is milestone? Milestone is a significant point in our schedule. that has zero duration. Like if you are related to project management field, you have idea about milestone or flags. So this is just to remember that milestone is a zero duration activity that will end the moment it will start. So it has zero duration. So this is actually a kind of deliverables that we mention in our schedule. So in this milestone, we have a list of all the milestones in a project. Also, we mention, is it a mandatory milestone or an optional milestone? So that depends on our nature of work. So as an output of this process, we get milestone list. We also have change requests and project management updates. Before we move forward, I will explain you about activity list, activity attributes, and milestone list. Like we create a list, a separate list for all the activities. Like we have here, for example, 12 activities and 3 milestones. We'll make a separate list where we will define all the activities, where we will put all the list of activities. In a separate document, we will put all the milestone list and we will mention, is it optional milestone or required milestone. And as an activity attribute document, a separate document for activity attributes where we will keep record of all the details as we mentioned. So activity ID, relationship detail, constraints, assumptions, so all these details we will document in activity attributes. So here is, like for example, procurement is taking 10 days, welder qualification is also 10 days activity, documentation 5 days. So this is our planned duration. As you can see in 3 activities, like contract award is 0-day activity. This is a milestone, like congratulations, we have been awarded with this job, so we will start the project. So completion of unit installation, like for example, we have completed all the 5 units we have installed, so we'll put as a milestone. And we will give a detail, like we have to install all these 5 units by this time, by this date. So that is a required milestone. So also the last one is completion. So this is just an example milestone. And about the activities, this is not a real project, this activities. So we will use this document as a sample to learn about define activities that we just discussed. Later in the video, we will know how to sequence activities, how to estimate activity duration, develop schedule, and control schedule. So I have put duration here just for indication, but later when we will start a project, we will know how we estimate activity duration, like what are the tools and techniques we use to estimate activity duration, and how we will sequence activities. So we will learn later in this video.